LTV viewers and friends, and welcome to the April 3rd, 2025 edition of East End News on LTV. This is your community and your news. I'm Christine Sampson. Our top story this week is by our correspondent Dara Berger, drawing attention to food insecurity in our town. Let's take a look.
East Hampton is a popular summer destination known for its quaint village and serene beaches. Most people wouldn't know that residents line up at a food pantry each week in order to put meals on the table for their families.
When I lost my job, it was a huge life-altering event. So I had no choice. I had to figure out what to do, how to pay the bills, how to put food on the table.
So those people look to us for help because they need a roof over their heads. They have to have their medical, but they don't have to choose between food and housing. We'll give them the food.
And there's such a high, unfortunately, a very high poverty rate in the town of East Hampton. We've got the highest rate in Suffolk County.
Wheaton says they are adding 6 to 7 new families per week. This brings a total of 1,300 individuals and families that the pantry is providing food assistance for residents who live in the Springs. In order to qualify, one just needs to be a resident of the Springs and be able to show proof of residency, either with ID or a utility bill. Then you will be issued a card that allows you to pick up your food on Wednesdays. The amount of food given is determined by how many people reside in the home.
The Springs Food Pantry is an all-volunteer organization, managing a $1.2 million budget. I mean, that's very extraordinary.
In talking to the supervisor, she says, I think you're feeding 25% of Springs.
And they do this by constantly fundraising as well as accepting PayPal donations from their website.
So monetary donations are that's what we need.
Dara Berger reporting in East Hampton for LTV East End News.
The need doesn't stop in Springs, of course. There are also food pantries in East Hampton, Montauk, Sag Harbor, Amagansett, Southampton, and Bridgehampton. So if you're looking to make a difference, look for your local food pantry and sign up to volunteer or donate. In other news, the New York State Assembly is once again backing a local indigenous tribe. On March 24th, the Assembly unanimously passed a bill to return official state recognition to the Montaukett Indian Nation. Sponsored by Assemblyman Tommy John Schiavoni of North Haven, this is the 7th time a state legislator from our area has sought the reinstatement of the Montauketts. The 6 prior bills, approved between 2013 and 2024, found support in the state Senate, but were all vetoed by the governor. In 1910, a court case called Farrow v. Benson declared the Montaukett tribe to be extinct, despite the presence of 75 members in the courthouse at the time. The Montaukett Indian Nation has continued to govern itself without acknowledgement from the state since then. That court case has since been called racist and improper. Assemblyman Tommy John Schiavoni stated, quote, I pledge to continue to prioritize the reinstatement of state recognition of the Montaukett Indian Nation, which was wrongfully stripped of its rights to exist more than a century ago. Some big congratulations are in order for 2 local students. Bridgehampton High School has announced its class of 2025 valedictorian is Avery McLeland, and its salutatorian is Sarah Capon. Avery will be graduating with a weighted grade point average of 100.57 and Sarah with a GPA of 98.27. Both seniors have been involved with the World Food Prize Global Youth Institute, where young leaders tackle global food insecurity challenges. Avery served as student government president and National Honor Society president and participated in extracurricular activities such as ballet, varsity volleyball, and the marimba ensemble. She will be attending the University of Virginia's honors program to study political science. Sarah served as secretary of the National Honor Society and Student Council, as well as president of the Environmental Club. She also participated in extracurriculars such as varsity cheerleading, theater, and outdoor track. We look forward to hearing their speeches at graduation day in June. A new pilot program is underway at Ponic Bay Medical Center in Riverhead. Michelle Troring reports for 27east.com that the hospital will be enrolling up to 20 patients in a 3-year study aimed at improving care for people with systolic heart failure. This is a condition in which the heart muscle is too weak to pump blood efficiently. The study revolves around a technology called Barostim, which is typically used in patients who would otherwise likely need a heart transplant. Ms. Troring reports that Barostim, quote, recalibrates the body's natural sensors to better regulate heart rate and reduce harmful adrenaline levels. 2 senior-level doctors are leading this grant-funded pilot program. They are Dr. John Cassotis, who is the chairman of cardiology, and Dr. Davila Santos, chair of vascular surgery. In a statement, Dr. Cassotis said, quote, it is my goal to continue to expand our cardiac footprint and provide the best possible care in this region to our patients. For patients interested in learning more, the hospital's website, pbmchealth.org, has all the details. New classrooms and bathrooms, a new gymnasium and locker rooms, and a greenhouse for students to learn in. This could all be in the not-too-distant future for the Montauk Public School, which is seeking community support for a $38.4 million bond to renovate the nearly 100-year-old building. The school essentially flunked an exam, receiving a grade of unsatisfactory from the New York State Education Department after a recent physical survey of the building took place. According to the school district, there have been no significant updates or improvements on campus in about 25 years. In particular, the school administration says the gym is too small and is overused for sports and events. Adding a new gym would allow for additional programs for kids and more opportunities for adult education and community engagement. The vote to authorize the bond will be held on Tuesday, May 20th in the school gym. The website montaukschool.org has more information and key upcoming dates to remember. East Hampton Town has announced the retirement of Sergeant Wayne Mata, who has served 20 years with the department. On Friday, March 28th, the department held the traditional walkout at headquarters for his fellow officers to give Sergeant Mata one last salute. He started as a patrol officer and was promoted to detective with a track record of investigating some of the department's most sensitive cases. He is a recipient of the Life Saving Award and an Excellent Police Service Award. Sergeant Mata is fluent in Spanish, which the town says, quote, built trust and strengthened connections with our community. The town said on Instagram that Sergeant Mata's, quote, legacy of integrity, professional, and compassion will not be forgotten. And finally, an important traffic alert for those who use County Road 39 and Montauk Highway, something most of us have in common. Michael Wright reports for 27east.com that Southampton Town has received a green light from Suffolk County to adjust 5 of its traffic signals during peak rush hour travel times. Starting on Monday, April 21st and running for 2 weeks, intersections at Sandy Hollow Road, McGee Street, Tuckahoe Road, and St. Andrews Road will be affected. From 4 to 7 p.m., traffic lights there will become either blinking yellow or steady green so that drivers don't have to stop. To allow drivers to merge safely, lanes will be converted to one lane with orange traffic cones in some areas. This is part of a big experiment, 27east.com reports, with Charlie McArdle, the highway superintendent, calling it, quote, a huge undertaking. There will be at least a dozen police officers plus several highway department crew members on site to pull this off. Mr. McArdle anticipates that traffic will move better and that traffic times will be reduced. He also believes it will discourage people from using smaller side streets as a way to bypass the highway. The temporary test will cost the town about $67,000, but it could pay off big time for drivers. Mr. McArdle told 27east.com that, quote, I'm anticipating that it's going to work, and that will put the burden on the elected officials to either put money into the budget to keep it going or get the county to do something. Stay tuned to 27east.com for additional updates on this traffic story. A relatively new cultural and artistic hub on the Shinnecock Indian Nation territory is Ma's House. Our correspondent Dara Berger visited Ma's House to learn more about the important work taking place there.
Walking up to this little red house on the Shinnecock Reservation in Southampton, you wouldn't believe how much history is waiting to be discovered inside.
So tonight at Ma's House, we're having an opening reception for our new exhibition, First Literature Project. It's a really exciting multimedia exhibition.
Ma's House is a communal art space here on the Shinnecock Indian Nation territory in Southampton, New York. And we primarily have a residency program for BIPOC artists. We have exhibits year-round.
Dennis says that BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. Other parts of the exhibit include watching videos and using virtual reality headsets to hear the oral stories that are normally handed down. Filmmaker Christian Scheider, originally from Sagaponack, and linguist Juanito Tarrant, who grew up on the Shinnecock Reservation, both created this exhibit as a way to revitalize the Shinnecock language and preserve its heritage. Scheider tells us what originally inspired him.
So I began to think, how could we try to have those stories be transmissible across space and time? And this technology is beginning to allow that.
It's a really great educational opportunity to learn about Shinnecock history, Shinnecock language.
There's a realness to it that begins to approach the dimensionality of a real person standing and speaking to you.
Dara Berger reporting in Southampton for LTV East End News.
At LTV, we enjoy connecting the past to the present with our Inside the Archive segment. Let's take a look.
Inside the Archive is our weekly look back in time, thanks to the East Hampton Library's digital Long Island collection. As flowers bloom and warm weather approaches, we revisit how East End locals celebrated the start of the spring season. The first week of April in 1989 held two special events to commemorate the start of spring, with a special flower arranging class held at Sag Harbor Florist, where shop owner Mona Margolis teaches how to make an Easter bunny from chrysanthemums. Later in the week, Guildhall hosted their second annual East End Music Festival. Several local musicians gathered to share their talent with the community through lively performances. Bands and solo artists played covers and original songs of a variety of genres, such as rock, jazz, blues, and folk. What a great way to kick off the spring season. For East End News, I'm Lisbeth Leone.
That's our news for this week. Thank you for watching East End News on LTV. I'm Christine Sampson, and we'll see you again soon.